Hello and welcome to the Out of the Closet podcast. I am your host, Andrew Pettke. Thank you so much for listening. If this is your first time listening, thank you for tuning in. If you've listened before, thank you. Oh my God, you look so good. Good to see you again. From laughs to interviews to games to special guests, we are a fun, gay, and informative lifestyle show hosted by me, Andrew Pettke. I'm a comedian. I do sketch improv and I do podcasts. And I'm here to have a good time. I'm literally broadcasting out of my husband and I's closet in sunny Santa Monica, California. But literally, I'm between our racks of clothes right now. So hence the name of the Out of the Closet podcast, because we're out and we're gay, but I'm also literally broadcasting from inside of my husband and I's closet. So if you want to see this closet, you can actually log on to our website, outoftheclosetpodcast.com. We are a vodcast, baby. That's right. You can watch video of this entire podcast. Just go to outoftheclosetpodcast.com. You'll see the fabulous outfits I change into. You'll see all the shenanigans that happen inside the closet. And then we have tons of stuff on tons of information, I should say, on the website as well. You can see show recaps. You can get links to things that we've talked about all through the podcast. You can see photos inside the podcast, photos of guests, and of all that fun stuff. So anyway, log on to outoftheclosetpodcast.com for all that information. And I want to tell you about our social media channels real quick. Okay. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. Just look for podcast OOTC. That's podcast OOTC for Out of the Closet. So look for our social media channels there. We post tons of fun stuff there. You'll be able to follow along, and you can direct message me there as well. If you want to have any input on the show, I'm all ears. I'm listening. I'd love to hear that. Also, we nominate a weekly organization that we typically highlight. So you can nominate an organization there too. If you like somebody, you want to hear about this organization, nominate them. I'd love to talk about them on the show. Okay, now let's get to it. Now, today's podcast is going to be unlike our typical podcast. Okay, so I'm not going to have our normal gay history lesson, some other information. I am, however, going to play at the end of this broadcast a interview from our very first episode of the podcast 1. Okay, with LGBT Outdoors, Justin Yoder and Patrick Thompson. They're going to tell you about LGBT OUTDOORFEST. If you missed episode 1, you're going to want to hear that. But before we even get to that, I have a huge announcement. I have to tell you, I've been sitting on a little secret. I've been sitting on it. Anyway, I have a secret. I got to tell you guys a huge announcement. Okay, I'm going to tell you that later on in the show. But first, I want to kind of tell you guys a little bit about myself. I know we kind of covered myself in the first episode, but really, I just want to tell you about an adventure I got to go on recently. And you may have seen me on TV before. I am part of MYSTIKKA Masala's food truck. And if you don't know, MYSTIKKA Masala is the winning food truck on Food Network's The Great Food Truck Race Season 12. All right. So my husband, myself, and our great friend Sarah were the first version of MYSTIKKA Masala food truck. And we were the team that was on the food truck. My husband was playing the part of a drag queen food truck owner. So we actually had an operational food truck. We actually served food out of it. And my husband actually did full drag on the truck. Now, the truck itself served Indian Tex-Mex fusion. We're from Texas. We used to have restaurants in downtown Dallas. And one of our biggest restaurants was called Spice in the City. And we served Indian Tex-Mex fusion. So we actually kind of rebranded the food for the show. We were on the Food Network's Great Food Truck Race. So we rebranded it for the show as MYSTIKKA Masala. It's a drag queen food truck that serves Indian Tex-Mex fusion. And when we were on season 12 of the Great Food Truck Race, we had the time of our lives. In fact, spoiler alert, we won the entire show, which was an amazing feat in and of itself, because running a food truck is just a difficult thing to begin with. But then you put the constraints of television involved, having to drive to multiple cities, marketing in those cities to, people that you've never marketed to before. So it has its own, little ins and outs. But I kind of want to go into that a little bit. So if you have watched Food Network, if you're a foodie, if you've watched the Great Food Truck Race, you've probably seen our episodes. Just look for an Indian drag queen. That's my husband. His real name is Naveen Hari Prasad. But on the show, like I said, he goes by MYSTIKKA Masala. And also joined with us was Sarah Hartshorn. Sarah Hartshorn is one of my amazing college friends. You also heard her on a previous podcast with Scorpio Moon Readings. So if you listen to a previous podcast, you heard her there. But she was my teammate on the show, as well as Naveen and myself. So a team of 3, and we went up against other trucks. And this particular on season 12, we went all around the West Coast. They called it the Gold Coast season. So we were in LA, we went to San Diego, we went to Palm Springs, we went to Las Vegas, we went back to Los Angeles. I mean, Santa Barbara. We were all over the West Coast. We had a great time stopping in every city, and every city had its own challenges. And we did our Indian Tex-Mex fusion. The show is really interesting because the show itself, you have a lot of things that you have to work through, but a lot of people don't see on the show is that it's an actual food truck operation. And every day and every morning and every night, you have to make sure that truck is clean, that it has gas, that it has propane, that has potable water, and it has to pass inspection before each and every show. So the trucks on the Great Food Truck Race are some of the cleanest you'll ever eat from. That's a guarantee. But that was a lot of added work. At the end of a workday, we'd have a long 14-hour day of shooting, and selling, cooking our food, and all of that. And then we would finish our day with going back to these spaces where we could clean the trucks and put gas in them and put water in them and get them all perfect and ready to go for the next day. So we had to do that. And then we'd go crash, at a hotel nearby. And then they'd have an early morning wake up call, and we'd start a whole day. Every day we started the food truck race too, we never knew what was in store for us. So, you just had to come prepared to work, prepared to hustle, and prepared to sell and really market yourself. So we were on the show. It lasted it was on for 6 weeks. And that's about how long it took to record the show, a little less than that. But basically what we did is we were on a regular schedule of recording for 3 days. We'd have 1 day of driving and 1 day that we were off, and we repeated that. And basically the 3 days of recording would be 2 days of recording, or actually selling on the streets, doing the different challenges that you do with host Tyler Florence. And then on the third day, there's an elimination or on the second day, your elimination happens. And on the third day, you go in for what are the interviews. So those are the things that you see spliced over, the actions, or when we're preparing the food, you'll hear us talking about the food that we're preparing. All that audio is added later. Well, we do that in about a 4-hour interview, which 4 hours doesn't seem like that long, but when you're sitting in a room, you're talking about everything, you're trying to recall what happened. It's kind of interesting. And the show also makes you talk in present tense. So when you're watching those things, as we prepare our tikadillas or our tikka nachos, we go through step by step, and we tell all the viewers at home what we're doing. So they record all that on the truck, and then we go back later and they pull the audio from that interview and use it. So you can't say, here I am cooking the cheese, adding the chicken. You have to say, I'm adding the chicken right now. I'm adding, this kind of stuff. It's really interesting, but it added to the craziness. And then a lot of times we'd have a day off, which was nice. Sometimes we'd get to relax a little bit. And then we would drive to our next location, that city. And so we wouldn't know until the morning of where we were going. And it was always fun. It was always exciting. The challenges were always different. We did have to go over the rules that you don't see because it's off camera, but they go over the rules with us just in case there's any of those questions you have as a viewer at home watching, when you're like, wait, could they do this? Could they do that? They cover all the rules before we get started on every challenge. Every team has to agree to it, that they understand it. So the show itself does an incredible job of keeping things as fair as possible. Now, one interesting thing about the trucks, a lot of people think, the trucks look brand new on the show, and the wraps are brand new. The outside of it is brand new, but that's about the only thing. The trucks we happen to be on our show range from anywhere in the 90s to maybe the early 2000s as far as their production date goes. So all of the trucks have their own little nuances. Some things don't work on certain trucks that work better on others. So that's one thing, the show doesn't really show, but it makes it a more truthful experience, because food truck operators everywhere have to deal with the expenses, have to deal with the unexpected, generator going out or a burner going out, those kind of things. And those are expenses that, you have to come out of your till. And even on the show, if you were to do something like damage your truck, let's say you hit your mirror and broke it or whatever it may be, that comes out of your till, which could affect whether you go home or not. So people were very cautious on the trucks, but the trucks in and of themselves were characters. Now, we went to multiple cities on the Great Food Truck Race, and so we got to see a lot of different things. Unfortunately, you don't get to spend a lot of time as a tourist in those cities. We spent a lot of our times, even on our off days, marketing our truck. So as soon as we knew where we were going to be, we spent that time to try to market where we're going to be. a lot of times we had no idea what city we were going to next. So we kind of guesstimated. For us, social media was our big way in. So we reached out to a lot of the LGBT centers in the cities we were going to, and hustled a lot of, try to hustle a lot of business that way. And they were great. All these centers were so amazing about sharing our information along the way. We had amazing, incredible gay LGBTQAI plus people and allies all along the way. And of course, because we're from Texas, man, we had so much amazing support from Texans. And it was just incredible. If you go back and watch the show, you'll see the truck. Our truck was a bright pink, I mean, just bright pink truck with the state of Texas on it, with a little bit of Indian design on it. And it said MYSTIKKA Masala, really huge. And so, I mean, you couldn't miss this truck. It had some sparkles on it. It was really beautiful. And the state of Texas, though, on the side of the truck ended up being a huge blessing in disguise, because a lot of Texans saw that and they came out, and Texans support Texans. So we lucked out with that. The show kind of gets a concept of our truck. We kind of pitch an idea to the show, and then the show comes out with the design. So when you watch the show and those teams are seeing their trucks for the very first time, they actually are seeing their trucks for the very first time. So on our episode, we were at the Santa Monica, it just so happens to be where I live now, but Santa Monica Airport. And it's kind of like a smaller private airport. And so the way they showed our trucks is they had them parked in a huge hangar, and this huge garage door slowly opened and revealed our trucks. So for us, it was kind of like a slow reveal. We were all peeking underneath the the garage door to try to see a sneak of our trucks, and ours stood out like crazy. Another team that stood out like crazy on ours happened to be the Lunch Ladies. The Lunch Ladies, oh my gosh, they were an incredible team. Two amazing, strong females and an incredible male. They literally, I'm just telling you, this was the team to beat for sure. And then their food truck, when that door opened, it looked like a bright yellow school bus. And these are actual lunch ladies that operate this. And so, I mean, right off the bat, the truck's wrap, I was like, okay, ours is bright and pink, but this lunch ladies is going to be hard to beat. They ended up being the team that we went up against. Oh yeah, spoiler alert, in the finals. And they were hustlers the entire way through. We couldn't have asked for a better team to go up against. It was so much fun. On every leg of the trip, we go to different locations. We went to an avocado farm. We went to the Rosenthal estate where we did wine. We cooked with wines. We went to the Bellagio Hotel in Las Vegas. We were in Santa Barbara. We were on the cliffs of Santa Monica near the beach. I mean, we were all over the place. And then we ended up, our final show was in this place called Elysian Park, which is oversees all of downtown Los Angeles and Dodger Stadium. And that's where the two final teams went head to head. But we had an amazing time on the show. I'll get into it a little bit more at some point, but I hope you go on to the website of our team, MYSTIKKA Masala. You can go to dragfoodtruck.com and you can actually go on there. And this is really fun. Okay, on the website, you'll see all the photos from season 12. You'll see information on there. We have our spices on there. You can actually buy spices that we featured on the show, that we featured in our restaurants. You can buy the spices on there. The website, dragfoodtruck.com, also has recipes. Some of the recipes we actually featured on the show are there as well. And my favorite thing has to be on dragfoodtruck.com is you can get your own free drag queen name. Okay, so just log on to dragfoodtruck.com and you can search for, or just search a little, or click the little button that says drag queen name generator, and it'll automatically assign you a drag queen name. So that's a lot of fun. On the show, the way we did our orders, as opposed to giving people order numbers and calling that out, like instead of saying order 7, we gave out drag names. So for instance, a drag name we get out would be like Shalita Buffet. Is there a Shalita Buffet here? So we had a lot of fun times with that. Or Eileen to the left. Is there an Eileen to the left? Anyway, we had a lot of fun doing that. So you can go on to dragfoodtruck.com and you can actually get your own free drag queen name through the website. And you can find all sorts of information there. And also, if you want to follow their social media channels, I should say our social media channels, it's MYSTIKKA Masala Food Truck. That's MYSTIKKA Masala Food Truck. So MYSTIKKA as in mystery, and then finish MYSTIKKA. It's a weird name, but anyway, MYSTIKKA Masala food truck. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook. We post all sorts of fun stuff there. They post recipes, so you can check that out. You can see some of MYSTIKKA's drag queen looks, all of her looks that were not featured on the show, plus some of the show features as well. You can see segments of the show on there. Anyway, just go to dragfoodtruck.com. You can see our entire adventure. All right, now, okay, I've told you all that information, and I got some huge news I've got to share with you. We have to go to a 1 minute break. I'm sorry to do this to you. We got to go to a 1 minute break, but as soon as we'll be right back, I'm going to tell you this exciting news that I've been waiting to share with you. So we'll be back in just 1 minute. All right. Thank you. Woo! Hey, it's Andrew. Do you have a business or a service that you would like to advertise on the Out of the Closet podcast? Well, if you do, I'd love for you to become a sponsor of the show. We can get your business in front of our amazing LGBTQAI+ and ally listeners who can't wait to hear all about your company. Plus, it's really super affordable. Right now, you can be included on 4 podcasts for just $250. Want to get started? Email me at andrew@outoftheclosetpodcast.com. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ty Burgess, founder and CEO of OneCBD, and I'm here to talk to you about bringing some balance back into your life, because everyone knows we can all use a little balance right now, and we have a special offer for Out of the Closet listeners today. To learn more, visit us at onecbd.com. That's ONECBD.com, and use discount code OUT for 50% off your first order. I'm so confident that you'll love adding OneCBD to your routine that if you aren't completely satisfied, we'll refund your entire order. No questions asked. OneCBD.com. Take our free quiz to see which product is right for you. That's ONECBD.com.